And then along came a spider and sat down beside her and frightened poor Mary away. So the authorities are looking for an 8-legged suspect to apprehend. So,
not even I was expecting that one.
No, exactly. No. Anyway, hello everybody. Welcome to the Sunday service here in the Interesting Modelling Company, live in colour. Live in colour. I always used to make me laugh. Police Squad. Remember, before the Naked Gun, this was Police Squad, the short-lived, and it used to go Police Squad in colour, and it cracked me up every time because it was like, anybody out there, if you've never seen the original Police Squad television series, you got to watch it. It's perfect.
Find it.
Perfect. Anyway, welcome to the Interesting TV Company show. Here we are on the Sunday service. I don't know about you, mate. I know about you, mate, but it's been blisteringly hot here today.
I'm having no fun. I have to say. It's. I know it's not by the standards of some places on the planet. It's not particularly warm, but when you're not set up for it, it becomes a different thing, doesn't it? So I've been spending most of the day with a wet tea towel around my neck, thermoregulating that way, and not going out and all that kind of stuff. We are peculiarly ill-equipped for it in this country, I'm afraid. So yeah, no fun, not enjoying it, and it can go away.
Well, I went out for a 5-mile walk.
But you're an idiot then. But
I am an idiot, yeah. I'm an idiot. No, I just thought. Well, it's I needed to pop up and see me mum. Hello, mum. And so I thought, well, we'll just go for a good old 5-mile stroll along the seafront. So that's what I did, and it was very hot, but very enjoyable.
Yes, too. I haven't been. Like I say, I went around to my mum's earlier on today in bare feet and burnt my feet on the asphalt.
Let's put it the other way round could have been awkward.
Just not expecting it. So
yeah, there we go. There, look at that. Look at that. Hey, look, there's a man equipped for the weather. Which reminds me of the infamous Porlock Marshes March that we did. Do you remember that?
Yes, it was. It
was 2 years ago. But 2 years ago,
just over 2 years ago. Yes, it was actually. I remember it fondly, but it was a bit of a march, wasn't it? Because we weren't really equipped or expecting it to be quite what it was.
I am actually now going to try and look up that photograph to share with people. Fill in. Long story short, people, Drew and I went to a beer festival in Porlock on the Somerset coast, and it was quite a nice sunny day. And we decided to walk from Porlock to Porlock Weir, which is about 2 miles, but it was over what can best be described as ankle-breaking shingle beach. And marshland with mysteriously dead trees,
petrified trees, which was it was cool, but I certainly didn't have the footwear for it, and
you didn't have the headwear either.
No, well we thought it was just down there and over there, the pub, wasn't it? We went, oh, it's 2 miles away.
Oh no, I knew where it was. I was fully equipped.
You just didn't share that.
No, I wasn't going to share that information. No. But anyway, we'll get on with the show in a minute. And also, just as a quick reminder, it's also 10 years ago, the infamous Porlock Hill climb.
Yes.
For those of you who've ever seen,
I remember about that mostly was while we were driving up there, we were talking about the shortly to be released Airfix Lynx in 48 scale.
Well, no, I've got the video of it. The video of the
talking about is when we were driving.
Oh yes.
It's kind of quite frightening to realise that that's how long that kit's been.
Yeah, 10 years now.
10 years nearly. So time is not slowing down, is it?
Well, the Airfix 72nd scale Sabres have been around for 10 years now.
Yeah, and it's certainly not standing still.
Time does not stand still. No, exactly. So let's crack on. As we're changing the format slightly here, people, in as much as that the Wednesday show is now going to be the news show. The Sunday show is going to be the kind of like slightly more relaxed, whispering Bob Harris kind of, kind of informal jazz improvisation show. Which is rather handy because this week there's been nothing. There's been no news, has there?
It's been absolutely dead, hasn't it? There's been nothing. I mean, I trawl around a few little sub forums and things where new stuff gets announced or rumored, and it really does feel like summer in modeling terms, in that there's just everybody's kind of, I would say, gone into the opposite of hibernation, but just nothing being announced or released. I mean, I'm sure there is. It's just that it hasn't really, it hasn't pinged our warning receivers. So
yeah, nothing has stood out. So, but I'm sure by Wednesday there are a couple of things, but not enough to kind of sustain an hour long kind of an hour long of drivel. Let's put it that way. So we'll keep those for Wednesday. I mean, for example, we'll talk about Wednesday is those Soyata Titanic and Japanese landscape model that's been. Tune in Wednesday, people. You'll see what we're talking about.
Yes.
So tonight's just going to be we're going to talk about projects we're working on, and we're going to field your questions, and that's pretty much going to be it for an hour as we both try not to melt.
Yes, it's kind of it's difficult to maintain any level of content. The only reason I've been in my modelling room all day is because I've got the big fan over here blowing on me all the time, so I've been able to put some podcasts on and kind of tinker away at the desk, so to speak, and keep at least reasonably cool, because for most of the day this side of the house is in shade.
Having said that, it's I'm trying to keep cool. Just about to sip a hot drink. So,
well, tea works though, doesn't it?
It does actually. Well, this is barley cup, but hey ho.
I think it was Wayne A. Beatty there saying, "What? No mini art?
No mini art this week, Wayne." They have announced a cart of fruit, but I think we've already covered that. But I will go back and just double check to see that we have. But we'll do it Wednesday. Wednesdays.
Things are getting desperate when there's nothing from mini art to announce.
Yeah, that's the end of the modelling world. That is. So. Yeah, right. So let's move on. Oh, did everybody enjoy the cover pick? By the way, that was a work of art, I think. Up there with Cold War Steve, I think. Anyway, let's remove Wayne. Sorry, Wayne. Not in that sense. Let us talk about then this. You have started yours.
Yes, yeah. I've started fiddling around, gluing a few bits together, and doing a couple of odd bits here and there on it. And if we switch to my vertical view, I've started giving it a full, as you can see, full rivet job there. And most of the fuselage is done now. I also glued the small clear portholes in place, and sanded and polished those through so they'd be perfectly flush, and hopefully clear when they've been varnished. But apart from that, it's just a few odd sub-assemblies, and then I spent today gluing the wings together. Now, one of the main things I will say is, although I don't like the plastic, this section here on the trailing edge here is all separate as a flat. And as you can see, that's fitted pretty much perfectly into place. You can't tell there's a separate part there. The ailerons are separate. And apart from that, the main thing to take away from this is, although I don't like the plastic, the fit is absolutely spectacular, frankly. And I haven't found any fit problems throughout the dry fitting so far. So you can see that tacking that in place and adding a little bead of glue is really going to be all that's required to put those wings firmly in place. And just lest anybody think it's unique, there's the other wing, and as you can see.
Bingo.
Bingo. That's absolutely perfect fit, and that seems to be through pretty much the entire model, I have to say. If I take the tape off of,
I was just going to say, you are doubtless going to, at some stage, somebody is going to post a picture where they're building that, and they are going to show them filling that panel, that kind of that join line on the top of the wing where that curve is at the fillet.
What, this here?
No, there. Yes, that one there. It's supposed to be there.
Yeah, I mean that is literally going to be a.
It is supposed to be there because that is actually where the whole thing actually goes together on the aircraft.
That is how it's built on the aircraft.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, even with things like the interior assembled but not completed yet, you know, that just drops into place. And you know, that's the kind of fit that we're getting throughout pretty much the entire model. So yeah, in terms of actual assembly, I don't see too much too many challenges with this one. There is this gun hatch here which I've glued in place. Now again, the fit looks like a panel, but what I didn't want to do was run liquid cement around there and create a sort of you know, bits where it's filled in with plastic and stuff like that, and not. So I kind of taped it into position externally, like so it was flush, and then I ran a bead of super glue and dental resin around the inside to secure it. Mm-hmm. And then that's had some of the clear resin that I was showing last week has been run into the clear port there just to fill all the gaps. And it's been sanded and polished through, so all that's perfectly flush. So yeah, little tricks there, because quite often when you add a panel like this, what you don't want to do is mess up the panel line, if you get what I mean. And the best way to do that is to avoid using liquid cement, where you'll get it where you'll get molten plastic filling up a bit of the line and not the other bits of the line.
I found that, and this is going back, wibbly wobbly effect here, this is going back 27 years ago now, with the AMT P40s. Remember the panels on the noses for those were all separate. Now I remember what I did with that was I literally taped it into position and tacked from the inside, tacked the corners of it with some liquid cement, and that was just enough to kind of hold it in place. Then I ran liquid cement from the inside and then just let it do its thing, and you get a perfectly flush panel with none of that kind of molten creeping into the panel, into the line.
That's kind of what we're talking about, that molten creep, and it just makes it a real bugbear to rescribe that as well, because it's never as hard as a surrounding plastic or anything like that.
No.
I mean, you can see even there might need to be a tiny little bit of work on things like the tail plane before I fit them. But overall, it's very impressive. And I did spend today. Hopefully, you can catch that in the light. I've spent the day riveting that.
Oh, yeah.
Riveting the fuselage as well. Have I followed any plans for the riveting? Absolutely not. The riveting is completely imagined. Very little in the way of rulers or anything used. It was just using the RB Tools riveter and literally doing it all by hand. So you get the occasional little wander, but nothing that's going to be overly visible on the finished model. So I think the overall effect is pretty nice. Mm-hmm. And it busies up the surfaces quite well, I think. So yeah, I mean, even stuff like bear with me just a second. I'm trying to find the correct. Even stuff like these, the engine nacelles, they just drop into place. He's got the wrong one on the wrong side there. There we go. They just absolutely drop into place there. And you'll be able to just kind of add a tiny dab of of liquid cement on the inside of this join there, there and there, and that'll carry around, and that's basically job done. So I've been hugely impressed with the fit of the model. So it's kind of almost taking the sting out of the quality of the plastic, which we always complain about. Canopy, a little bit of work on the canopy just to flatten it down a bit, but as you can see there, it fit is pretty much perfect again. So yeah, it's actually the bulk of the time coming up is going to be spent just painting the interior and getting it looking busy enough in scale. I don't really see that there's going to be a need for any particular detailing past what we've got there.
Dry brush and a wash.
Honestly, yeah, paint, details, wash, dry brush, and then with all the with all the clear parts in place and closed for more than sort of 8 or 10 inches, I don't think it's going to matter.
No,
I think it's going to be fine. And this, all of this area here, well, what goes in there is a little turret that you're not going to be able to see through to see inside the fuselage anyway. So I just can't help thinking that spending too much time on the interior is a wasted exercise, really, right, as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. I think, I don't know if Jennifer started hers yet, and I see Spencer's just chimed in and said that he needs to get his on the go. But I was really, I really had nothing else going on this week since finishing that little drone. So I thought, oh well, I'll just start playing with it, and that is really sitting down in here because it's the coolest room in the house, and spending an hour here and there on it a couple of times. Nothing particularly concentrated, shall we say? But it's a very impressive model, I have to say, so far.
Well, I'm not taking part in this because I've got tanks to build. So, but I've not been able to do much this week because of work and things. But I've decided, I have taken a decision here, executive decision here, is having seen Spencer's lovely little Kettenkrad and that diorama that he's done, is I've decided actually I'm going to finish my Kettenkrad in just plain yellow. I'm not going to spray camo on that. That's going to be plain yellow, and that's going to be straight to a weathering job. But because I've still got those I've used the new Tamiya acrylic yellow on that, but I still have the acrylics that I can use on the Italeri Panzer IV-H, and I've got this Tamiya Panzer IV-G to build as well. So I really want to get a wiggle on and get the Kettenkrad done and get the figures done. Hopefully in the next 10 days-ish, so I can really start cracking on with other things. But yeah, that Kettenkrad's, it's nice. I like it. It's been a fun old build.
How do we feel about the new Tamiya acrylic colours?
They're fine. They're fine. Although I will make the observation is that they're very good, but I would still prefer using the lacquers over the acrylic ones for the simple reason that the acrylics, acrylic paints sometimes have that tendency within certain circumstances to kind of start drying out on certain angles. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you get vortex.
Yeah, vortexing. And when you're doing something like this, he says, nice close, extreme close up there. When you're doing something like this and you're trying to get the paint into that interior, is you can end up with a little bit of a dusty finish in places, whereas with the lacquers you don't. We're talking minor degrees of preference there.
For the most part, that'll disappear under a coat of flat varnish at the end.
Yeah, no, I mean, I thin those acrylics with their Tamiya lacquer thinner, the retarder type as well, the slow drying, and I've thinned that about 50-50 actually. But no, fine, perfectly excellent paints. Like I say, I will be using the acrylics on the two Panzer IVs as well. So
I will be using for the main camouflage on the Beaufort here. I'll be using AK real colours. If I go back to the. I ordered these quite a while ago when they first came out, and you've got colours. You know, this little set here the RAF, the cockpit grey green. I'm hoping it doesn't appear too.
No, that's fine.
I really like that. It's a really nice. It's not too in your face.
It's a nice desaturated apple green.
Yeah, it's really nice. And the extra dark sea grey. When I used it on a Beaufighter a while back, again, it's slightly blue.
Yeah, that's what you want.
Very dark, slightly blue, and the dark slate grey I'm particularly impressed with, because it's a real, it's a greyed out olive drab, darkish colour, which I think is really good. I really liked it, especially against that extra dark sea grey that they did. So quite a lot of the AK colours I haven't been that impressed with in terms of the colour matches.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you an example. This is the sky. I think we all know what's coming here, don't we? Let's see if this is.
I can hear Roy Sutherland on the phone right now.
But you can see that is.
Oh, goodness me!
Yeah, it's a green.
That is one thing you cannot deny of that. It's a green.
That's a green. Now I sprayed the underside of the Beaufighter with this, but it was about 60% white to about 40% this color, and that looks really nice then. It's not that too dissimilar to Tamiya's XF21 Sky, in that it's a definite green. It's a definite green that needs significant lightning. But yeah, I mean, so some of the colours, like I say, the extra dark sea grey and the dark slate grey and the interior green there, I really like. The sky just falls victim to what nearly every sky ever done does. It's too dark, too saturated. It's too green. Luckily, the underside of this Beaufort has got to be black, so using the sky one way or the other won't be an issue for this one, because I won't be using the sky. But it's something to be aware of. We've had a huge amount of colours over the last 5 or 6 years. Lacquers have taken over from acrylics in a lot of ways, but we've got the same old accuracy issues. In that sometimes they're spot on, sometimes they are well out of well out of kilter, which is a huge problem I find with MRP. As much as I like using them, and I think they spray beautifully, 70-75% of the time the colours simply aren't right.
Well, here is a question to lobby. We've got a couple of things I want to go to comments in a minute, and we actually do have 2 news items that I do need to mention. So I know do you prefer accurate colours that can be a bit of a bind to spray, or would you prefer a paint that's good to spray that you just need to kind of tweak the colours?
Oh, good to spray, and I'll tweak the colour. That's not even that's not that's a no-brainer for me. Good to spray, and I'll tweak the colour every single time.
Well, as and when we finally do actually gather, because we didn't do the Saturday gathering after all. The gathering, McLeod. It's the gathering. Is we didn't do that simply because none of us want to experience the quickening, quite frankly. But no, we didn't do the gathering on Saturday, so we're going to reschedule that. But as and when you need to try these SMS paints, they are very nice. Very nice.
I haven't tried them yet. And I would like to. Like any new lacquer paint, you know what I'm like. Any new lacquer paint, I'm just sort of champing at the bit to try. But I almost expect them not to be bang on accurate these days, and I'll tweak if I need to. Or quite often these days, just ignore it and use it anyway, because very very often there's kind of a there's a band within which I find colours acceptable.
Yeah, I noticed that with the SMS, their German dark yellow, or one of their German dark yellows, was definitely darker and slightly more, I think, yellowy Would you believe? Could you believe that, people? It's called dark yellow, and I found it to be a little bit dark and a little bit yellow. Unbelievable. And
what were the odds?
But what are the odds? Who would have seen that coming? But I'm comparing it to something like this, the Tamiya Dark Yellow 2, because this is the second stab they've had at it.
Grey to me.
Yeah, which is actually kind of quite. No, that's just the light. I haven't got the lights on in here. It's actually kind of quite. It's got a slightly greenish cast, but it's quite desaturated. However, frankly, when it comes to German dark yellow, there were so many variations of the real thing anyway. Nobody can stand there and quite definitely say that is wrong. It's like, I mean, the books on the subject showing the different samples, original samples from preserved machines and things. You know, there's, as you say, there's a ballpark. Yeah, and you can work within that. There is obviously wrong. There is obviously wrong, but there is near enough.
Yeah, I mean, one of the other colours that seems to consistently escape paint manufacturers is middle stone.
Yes,
stone's a real. I've got sort of here 3 or 4 different versions of middle stone. I really like the Mr. Colour one. I really like Mr. Colour's version of mid stone. It's in their general range. It's not a specific colour. It's just called mid stone. It's 20 something in their range. But I'm always told it's far too yellow, it's far too mustard, it's nowhere near orange enough. But I really like the effect it gives.
I'm sorry, mid-stone orange? What?
Yes, exactly. And that was from Roy. Because I got the Hataka orange line mid-stone. And I did a test spray of it, and it was really, really quite towards orange. And I was like, I don't like this at all. And the disparity, the sort of difference in hue between that and their dark earth when I sprayed them was quite small.
Yeah.
Whereas on you look on any Middle East painted RAF aircraft in World War II, the difference between the dark earth and the mid stone is marked.
Yeah.
And it looks and to me, if I use the Mr. Colour dark earth and mid stone, it gives me that appearance.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Whereas the Hataka one, but people will say, no, it's fine. I'm like, are you seeing the same thing I'm seeing here? Because this is quite clearly not fine. And you kind of, I don't know whether my mental image of Midstone has been corrupted a little bit by the fact that I like the Mr. Colour version so much that I now think of that as what Midstone should be. But I still say, looking at photographs, it's ballpark of what I'm happy with.
And there are quite a few original photographs, colour photographs from the period, not colorized, actual colour photographs of a Desert Air Force aircraft where you can get a feel for the colour. I think is the best way of putting it.
Yeah, I mean, there might be the slightest hint of orange in it, but there's in no way could you say it's. It goes towards orange.
Orange.
It might have a very slight hint of red, but it's not. In no way is it an orange hue at all. It is to my mind, quite a mustard yellow.
I was going to say, actually, the original Tamiya, I can't think what the number is. It's their original XF, whatever it is, dark yellow, German dark yellow. That's actually quite
not a million miles away.
Yeah.
I mean, the sad reality is, although we. God, the idea of actually spraying that paint on a model now fills me with horror. But extra colours was always, spot on.
But there, we're back to that question I posed a few moments ago, which is the colour's accurate, but it's an absolute pain dans le derrière to actually spray.
Yeah, I'm not interested in using it because it's just, I don't want to wait, a week for my paint to dry for a start. And I think, from the back in the dark mists of time, Humbrol's authentic Midstone wasn't terribly bad either.
Very good paint.
In the ballpark. But quite a lot of what I'm seeing these days, it's I'm looking behind me. It's my big pile of Hataka paints here, mental image has got a lot to has got a lot to answer for, I think. But it kind of surprised me that people were saying that Middle Stone was that orange, and I'm like, no, it's not. It really isn't. I'm convinced it isn't an orange hue.
I've actually got some of the Hataka paints around here somewhere. Again, I'm. Oh, there we go. There we go. It's got their sky and whatever. I do need to, at some stage, there are some projects I do need to build. In fact, one of them is going to be when the Svezda Hurricane turns up. There we go. When the Svezda Hurricane turns up, I should be trying out some different paints on this. So
I must say, I do really like the way Hataka paints spray. Especially, this is one of those ones where, especially with their own thinner. There we go. So, no. Oh, they're gone. Hey ho. Never mind. I've lost it.
In every sense of the phrase.
Yeah, in every sense of the word. I've lost it, but never mind. But yeah, within a sort of there's a band of acceptable colour for any given colour, and outside of that, no. But I'd rather tweak a colour and have it spray nicely.
We'll come back to that. We'll come back to this interesting discussion in a moment. But first of all, news, and we do actually have some news. And the news is, first of all, that Tamiya have announced their 100th model in the 48 scale military miniatures range, which is going to be a Nashorn SPG. And this information was passed to us from the hobby company. So there you go, 48 scale modelers. You are getting a Nashorn in your preferred scale. It says here markings options are for the 519th Heavy Anti-Tank Battalion, Eastern Front, February 1944, and the third company, 88th Heavy Anti-Tank Battalion, Eastern Front, 1944. So for somebody like me who likes doing winter whitewash schemes, I'm quids in. I'm quite happy about this. So, and I've just read you the blurb here. It says 48 scale plastic, blah, blah, blah. Extensive research and study of actual vehicles led to this accurate recreation of the imposing form of the Nashorn. Suspension and hull size are distinctly depicted, and the main gun, its cradle and fighting compartment are realistically recreated. Moving main gun features realistic elevation, depression, and traverse. Assembly type tracks have single piece straight sections with upper run sag. Sorted. Includes plate weights to give the model a realistically heavy feel. Comes with one figure in winter uniform looking into binoculars and two Eastern Front 1944 markings options. So yeah, that's a win for me, because I do love, like the Nashorn and the Hummel, those kind of family of vehicles. Winter whitewash scheme, 48 scale, it's a Tamiya kit. What's not to like?
And it's their 100th. 48.
And it's their 100th. It's their 100th. So
you think the rest of the model world would have got on board with 48 by now, wouldn't you? For armor.
I do enjoy it as an armor scale.
I think it's the best. I think it's the perfect scale for armor. I really, really do.
So we have that, and it doesn't end there, because also coming from Tamiya very, very soon, they are doing, get a look at this, 48 scale set of German infantry figures. Now, these clearly have some of their roots in their 35th scale set, because the poses are absolutely identical. But there's some added figures here as well. The seated figures, I think, are fabulous, because they have just so many kind of applications as tank riders. And I think back to when 48 scale figures, even for airfields, were limited. It was Prizer or the aftermarket, and that was it. Yeah. And then it's kind of it's come on a bit since then. So you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 figures. Do you get 9 figures? Let me count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10. Yeah, see, maths was never my strong point. So you get 10 figures. And again, it opens up 48 scale to doing dioramas, but doing dioramas on a more manageable scale, if you pardon the pun. So there we go. That's 2 new items coming from Tamiya for 48 scale armor modelers. Obviously, I'm looking forward to seeing both, because I've hold on, lads, I've got an idea. So
Yeah, because that's very much your wheelhouse, isn't it? So
it is my wheelhouse. Also says quality decals are also in the box and ready to use in the depiction of rank insignia on shoulders and collars, which is good because I'm absolutely rubbish at painting them.
yes, so well, you've got to be pretty much superhuman to be any good at painting that sort of thing in that scale, haven't you?
Yeah. Now we have a question here from Ofer Cohen, and you're the right man to do this one, Drew, because Ofer says, from the times I'm here, you guys never covered the airliners modelling subject, or I missed it.
I do. I build airliners.
I think you may have missed it.
Yeah, I think you've missed it, and I think to be honest, though, you've obviously missed my rampant enthusiasm for the imminent Zvezda Boeing 757, which I literally cannot wait for because it's the finest looking airliner that ever took wing, and that includes Concorde.
Talking of which, we also covered the ICM TU-144.
No, oh yes, and we did do the ICM Tupolev 144, which on the back of what happened?
Go on, Concorde.
Well, we discussed it, and then I immediately went and ordered it.
Yes, you did. Yes, and we talked about some of the other Zvezda airliner kits in the past.
Yeah, I mean, it's not strictly an airliner, but let's not forget the little barrier that I built a few weeks ago. So yeah, we do we do discuss airliners on here, and I do build airliners, but in honesty, it is a bit more of most of my modelling is military, but I do like to try my hand at airliners from time to time, and I see Jennifer's in here this evening, and it's mostly the stuff I've learned from Jennifer in the last couple of years about finishing them that's kind of brought me back enthusiastically into them, you might say.
It has reconciled you to glossy finishes, hasn't it?
Yes, because once you appreciate that the only way to get a glossy finish is time, no matter what, people can tell you about the latest and greatest paint to spray that's perfectly smooth or anything like that, but ultimately it's just time and time and determination to get there.
Anthony Bird says 48 scale figures look well detailed, appear to have proper faces, which is something not always good. Well, Anthony, I think you'll find that these faces were scanned from people within the Tamiya, not family. When I say family, I mean distributors and people who have professional associations with Tamiya. They were scanned for the 35th scale ones, and some of those have followed through to the 48 scale. So those faces are actually 3D scans of actual people. Not me, not yet, but I'm working on it.
There's time yet. See, Steve, did you know that NASA flew a Tupolev TU?
Did you know? That apparently
they re-engined them with backfire engines. Sorry, not backfire. Blackjack Tupolev TU-160 engines were put on them, and they were used as part of their supersonic transport research in the early 2000s. Yes. There's quite a lot of stuff that the NASA and American research institutes used Russian aircraft for. Don't forget the Zvezda K-36C was in the running for the JSF at one point, in the running to be the ejector seat used on the JSF. Yes.
I learned something this week about NASA projects, and I watched a short documentary about a project called Star Raker, which was a plan for a reusable.
The Bond film they never made.
Yeah, it's the Bond film they never made. And it was a plan for like a reusable space plane, but huge, absolutely huge. Completely impractical, utterly impractical. Almost as good as there was another thing. It was a two-stage rocket thing that they had, which was going to be literally almost twice the size of a Saturn V. It's going to be this massive thing made up of two almost kind of like reusable aircraft, things. The first one was the launch stage that then piloted back to Earth and landed. And then there was the other stage that then pilot, and it was a brilliant scheme. Apart from that, you had to land them hundreds of miles away from where you need to reassemble them to actually put them back on the launch pad again. Yeah, kind of. No, that's not going to work. So, and the Star Raker, look it up, people. It's mad. It's absolutely even Hugo Drax would have gone. That's a bit far fetched. It would have been, absolutely mad. So, but yeah, they used. Funny enough, this was something we're going to talk about tonight as a kind of like a side, like a little side subject, which we'll probably come back to another time, which is things that we've wanted to build but we haven't actually got around to yet. And one of the things that I have wanted to build for a very long time is NASA related, is actually an SR-71 or a YF-12. YF-12.
Yeah.
And that black silver scheme with the kind of cutout on the nose. Yeah, the old ox cart.
Yes, I do like I do like the family, especially the early A12s and stuff, the ox carts and stuff like that, because they were always the nice colour schemes and things. I honestly don't think it'll be long before. Did Model Collect not say they were going to do SR-71s in 72nd scale? I think Model Collect said they plan to do them, because it would be, at this point. I mean, let's not forget even the YF-12 prototype. NASA was using that up till about 1978 for test work. So it had a long productive life, even after it was sort of nixed from being a US Air Force interceptor.
Yeah. I know there are two 48 scale SR-71 kits in the mix, because there's the Revell one, and was it Gas Patch doing one? I can't remember. Hypersonic, that's it. Yeah, I was thinking Gas Patch. I'm thinking Gas Patch because I think Brett Green posted some pictures of their Messerschmitt Comet in 148 scale.
Right. Okay.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen a few of them built. Robin built one, didn't he? Robin Powell built one.
Is it out now? Is it?
Oh, it's been out for ages.
Has it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's been out for ages. Keep up. Do keep up. Rory's built one and Robin Powell's built one. They've been out about 3 months, I think.
Okay.
I'm just looking at the links. I saw back a bit further up. Pavel was asking what colour I used for blue on Mirages.
I'll find it in a second. Scrolls up. I'll find it in a minute. Sorry, Pavel. We'll find you in a second. All right, you carry on then. Carry on, Drew, and I'll find the.
Pavel, the colour I generally start with is that, which is Mr. Colour.
We go.
Mr. Colour 72, which is called intermediate blue. Now, that, to be blunt, it's not very good intermediate blue. It's far too blue to be intermediate blue, if you like. It's actually a really good match for the lighter blue used on Japanese maritime aircraft these days. But I've always found it a really good place to start with making bleu de mirage, generally with a little bit of medium to dark grey added to it. Mr. Colour do an actual intermediate blue as well, which is a fairly good match to intermediate blue, but it's a bit paler and more greyed out. You still want something fairly blue for that colour. So yeah, that's where I've started for probably 15, nearly 20 years now. That's the colour I've always used. Mr. Colour number 72, intermediate blue. And just like we were talking about, would you rather have a colour that sprays nicely that you have to tweak? Yes, that sprays really nicely, and I have to tweak it a little bit, generally with a little bit of medium to dark grey, because what you don't want to do is make it too. You want to desaturate the blue a little bit without making it too pale. So sort of a darkish grey, sort of a bit of dark sea grey or neutral grey or something will sort of kill a little bit of the blue without making it too pale. So yeah, that's the colour I've used for Bleu de Mirage for quite a long time. So give it a help. I'll give it a try. I hope it. Tell me what you think.
Mm-hmm. Here we go. Here we go. Seeing as we've sparked the discussion now, this is an artist impression of what the Star Raker would have looked like. Yeah, okay. That's a big old thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not as big as I expected.
It's
big. Don't get me wrong. It's what's that? 400-foot wingspan.
Something like that. Yeah. Anyway, but it's fascinating stuff. I do like reading up on space stuff that never quite happened.
No, I think with space exploration, you have to be ambitious, because then when you scale it back to what's actually practical, it still works. It's still of some, it still has some use, some facility.
And here's a depressing thought for a Sunday evening. Is as a kid, and kind of reading Look and Learn magazine. If you remember Look and Learn magazine and things like that. And just the exciting future that was awaiting us with supersonic travel and reusable space planes. And, yeah.
I mean, ultimately, what it came down to is that, by the time the 1972 moon landings came around, nobody was interested anymore. It wasn't even a headline on the news.
Wasn't that the famous thing about Apollo 13? Apollo 13 was only 2 removed from the famous Apollo 11 moon landing, and yet when they went up, the networks didn't even cover it. They only started covering it when it went wrong.
Yeah, exactly that. So I mean, a lot of it was, they were unable to maintain public interest in it, which is why, as much as we might bemoan the likes of Musk and Bezos and stuff, they're spending their money on getting into space now, which is arguably better than using my tax money. And they are pushing the envelope far, far quicker than NASA ever could, because they can just throw money at it. Oh, that went wrong. Well, we'll have another go next week. Oh, that went wrong. We'll have another go next week. So they're doing iterative designs, merely weeks apart. If that had been a NASA test flight, by the time the first, Musk's first one had failed, that would then be 2.5 years before they had another go.
And let's face it, hands up all those who like watching the SpaceX launches and re-entries and landings and things.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely love watching it. But
I think one of the future shows we could actually have a space modeling special. We could talk about our love of space modeling and things that we'd like to space model and things that we have space models.
I mean, I've always wanted to build a full shuttle stack. I've always wanted to build a full shuttle.
And then you saw what John Chung is doing.
And now I've seen what John Chung's doing with his 72nd scale one, and I'm like, yeah, I'm all done here. There's no point.
Just do it as a desk model. Just do it as a desktop model. Right, we've got a question here from Steve Moores. He says, the French. I'm sorry, wait a bit. William Shatner there for a second. The French Air Force colours any good? Are the MiG French Air Force colours any good?
MiG?
Yeah, MiG. MiG? Ammo of MiG?
Oh, ammo.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I have no idea. I have to say that the only time I've ever used French colours was on a Tamiya Duotone 520, and I used the mixes from Tamiya, and they look great. But outside of that, in fact, I've got those colour mixes because I've got the Dora Wings block to do at some point, haven't I? And I actually dug out the Tamiya Duotone instructions to get the color mixes again, because I remember liking them so much. So actually, that's actually quite a good question from Steve there, because the next time I'm sure Froome stock the ammo of MiG paints. So next time I'm in there, because I'm due a trip there very, very soon, I might actually grab their French colours, and then when I see you. Oh, because they do a modern French Air Force set. Oh, sorry, Steve. I didn't realise you were talking about modern French. I thought we were talking about World War II. Again, same answer. I'm afraid. I simply don't know.
I will get them, and then I'll pass them on to you, and then
I will be in Froome on August the 7th, regardless, because I've got I'm going to see Frank Turner in the evening of August the 7th. So I will be in Frome on August the 7th.
August the 7th is a Saturday.
Yes.
Oh, that's doable.
Yeah, so I will be there. Like I say, I will be there from early afternoon onwards. But if we've got something to do, I'll come earlier. And
actually, I'm just checking here. Bear with me. Oh, it's the 11th. Is the? Oh no, sorry. The actually, it's the 7th. Sunday the 8th is apparently going to be the Avon show. So,
all right.
Might be a plan there, might not be. I think we're all going to have to wait and see what happens in the next couple of weeks. So,
yes, I think so. Yeah, but yeah, regardless, I will be in Frome on the 7th. So if we can organise,
I'm sure we can organise something for that. Yeah, absolutely. I'm just having a quick look at some of the. Well, say hello to everybody who's watching tonight. So. We will say hello to Pavel Krufovich, Dave Swindle, Andy Brennan, Dave Coward, Ophir Cohen, Ian Goldstraw, Dougal McWoogle, Mark Ryan, Johanna Fretti, Dave Mummery, Jerry Doyle, Paul Milligan, Greg Woodbridge, Stephen Pryor, Brian Wilton, Johan Olivier, Wayne A. Beatty, Steve Johnson. Hello, Steve. How are you? Stan Kurt. Sorry, Stan, if I've murdered your name there. Kurtz. Yes. I'm from Dudley. Cut me some slack. Yeah. Oh, it is Joe. Joe Pestaglici.
There you go.
There we go. We got that there. Exactly. Dave Fleming. Lee Suter. Steve Moores. Spencer Pollard. Andrew Hills. Mr. Hills, sir. The other boss, as we call him. Michael Scott. Evening, Michael. Douglas Hunter. Stuart Clark. Hello, Stuart in Canada. Canada. Scrolls down. Anthony Bird, hello, Anthony. Mark Ryan, scrolls down. Damien Mullen, Rob Monfee, hello, Rob. I hope you're staying out of trouble. Scrolls down. Pretty good viewing figures. There are some news channels that would be envious of those viewing figures, quite frankly.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We've got more viewers than we have staff, so that's a. That's better than they're doing, isn't it?
Move on.
Yeah, so happy that we've pronounced his surname right.
Yeah. I was practicing it as I was doing my 5-mile route march in the baking sun this evening. So we'll get there in the end. I'm from Dudley. Cut me some slack, for goodness sake. Really? Have you ever been to Dudley? You wouldn't want to. And Auntie says, I like people like Auntie. Auntie says, got my badge in the post on Friday. Many thanks. You see, we have actually got quite a few orders for the old badges, which I think is a beautiful segue now for a bit of brand pimping. So we do have our fantastic, interesting modelling company button badges, which unfortunately at the moment we can only do UK only, but I am working out how to do them international. So bear with. Because the bizarre thing is, Royal Mail are pricing these on their postage is on whether it can fit through the letterbox slot, but these aren't going into British letterbox slots. So I don't get that, Royal Mail. Please explain. Anyway, enough of the rant. These are £2.50 of your earth money, including postage and packing to the UK, but we are working on getting these to everybody around the world. And of course, we do. Keep forgetting to do this every week. We do give one away to a lucky viewer.
When we remember.
Rob's Sads Rob here says mine has still not arrived, unfortunately. So there we go. Owing to playing the sympathy card here is Rob, without us even bothering to kind of throw this out into open tender, Rob wins this week's free Interesting Modelling Company badge. Fix, I know.
There you go, David Mummery. Mine landed happily. Brian Wilton got mine. Many thanks.
Yeah, well, thank you to everybody who's ordered one. We are working on some more merch as well, so stickers and things. So anyway, but thank you. Genuinely, honestly, thank you for wanting to wear one. Really, it's bless you all. Right, it's just coming up to 27 minutes past the 8 o'clock hour. So. Any other business?
No, I don't think so. Not from me. I appreciate it was a little bit of a scrappy show tonight, wasn't it? But it was just it was always going to be a chat, wasn't it, rather than any news. I won't be around on Wednesday because I'm on late shift this week. So that's just giving you fair warning that I will be on late shift. But hopefully I'll have some. This time next week, I'll have a bit more progress on the Beaufort. I keep going to call it a bow fighter. And I have to correct myself at the last second. It's like it's a whole Pestiglici thing. You get to say one thing,
I had a very nice lunch in Clarence Park in Weston-super-Mare yesterday. But I keep wanting to call it Grove Park because there are two parks in Weston. There's Clarence Park and there's Grove Park. I kept calling it Grove Park, and it's just like the only way I could remember it in the end was to self-correct, is put your own little mental tick in there.
Yeah.
Clarence the cross-eyed lion from Daktari. That's how I remember it now. Clarence Park.
Yeah, Daktari. Oh god, there's a throwback to our youth, our childhood,
and modelling related because Airfix did a set of Daktari figures.
I mean, I'm thinking about it. We've had Blenheims from Airfix, bow fighters.
I know where this is heading, right?
Can a Brigand be far away?
Do you know what? I wish because the Brigand is such a fantastic looking airplane, isn't it? It's just
it's one of those aircraft that should have been. It looks like it should have been more successful than it was.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of it was. I mean, it did all right in Fire Dog, but I think it was just caught out by its place in time as much as anything.
It was just at that point where piston engined or radial engine, rather, the role was starting to be superseded by jets.
Yeah, I mean, the Meteor had come along and it was just as good at ground attack, wasn't it? I mean, I always think, if one of my favourite sounds in the entire world is a Centaurus engine, surely, two Centaurus engines has got to be at least twice as good, The
Brigand always looked like, it's like the Brigand was kind of like if somebody picked a fight with the Beaufighter, the Brigand was its bigger brother that just turned up as backup. It's just like it's a fantastic airplane.
I have got the Vallon kit through in the other room.
You have my deepest sympathies.
And yeah, the thing is, as with a lot of Vallon kits, it looks fantastic. It looks really, really nice in the box. But you just know that when you come to start building it, issues, to put it mildly, are going to rear their head, shall we say.
We seem to have stirred a certain amount of interest amongst our viewers here. Is Dave Fleming says Buckmaster?
Yeah, you see. I mean, the thing of the Buckmaster was it had quite a successful career as a trainer with the RAF. Arguably, it was more important than the Brigands in the end.
But you can't paint a Buckmaster in Fire Dog schemes.
No,
exactly.
I mean, I don't dislike the Buckmaster or the Buckingham for that matter, but I let's say the Brigand is the natural next.
Brigand. If only the information was out there, I think is probably the response to that. Anyway, Johan Olivier says a Percival Twin Pioneer first.
You get no argument from me, Johan.
Actually, the Brigand and the Twin Pioneer were some of the first releases by Ron Firth's Hallenvac range, weren't they?
Yeah. I'm always completely taken with the one at Cosford, aren't I? Whenever we go to Cosford, I have to walk around it. And a friend of mine who spent a lot of years working on aeroplanes, he said to me one day after watching me around the Corsair at Yeovilton, he said, "You love aeroplanes, don't you?" And I said, "Well, yeah, why? How do you know?" And he said, "It's just the way you kind of run a hand over something as you walk past it, and you're just really appreciating the shape." And I'm the same with that Twin Pioneer. I'm the same with that at Cosford. I just adore it. I think it's beautiful.
It's that Picard moment in First Contact, isn't it, where he's touching the rocket, the Phoenix.
Yeah.
And Data says to him, "What are you doing?" He says, Data, it kind of connects you with the object." And he says, "I just feel the imperfections thing." Brilliant film. That we'll talk about another time. And of course, there was the third kit that Hallenvac did, that Ron did in the Hallenvac range, and that was the Westland Welkin. The Westland Welkin. Now there was a fantastic aeroplane that brilliant, but absolutely
it kind of the problem with the Welkin was largely that it ran out of a roll.
That's what I mean.
It wasn't, it wasn't an unsuccessful aircraft, and it was the aircraft which prompted the start of the company I did my apprenticeship with. Because I did my apprenticeship with Normal Air Garrett, which was started by Westlands as Normal Air in 1942, specifically to do the pressurization system for the Welkin. So, and I'm back working in the same factory where they were made.
A bit of housekeeping here for Steve Moores. He says, "Is that Percival or Scottish Aviation or different aircraft altogether?"
Scottish Aviation by now.
Yeah, let's just have a quick look, because Scottish Aviation Twin Pioneer. And I'm just gonna do a quick check to see if Percival are. I think that's a little bit of crossover there with the Percival Pembroke in terms of people's memories.
Yes.
So yes. So
I actually think they had the same engines. I think they both had Alvis Leonides engines. So there's a little bit of a crossover there. But yeah, I think Special Hobby have done Pembrokes and stuff, haven't they?
Yeah, I see. Out of the two, I prefer the Pembroke, but
no.
It's just
Pioneer every day and twice on Sunday.
Oh, broken me bell. Well, that's pretty much it for tonight. We'll be back on. Well, I'll be back on Wednesday. He won't. So we'll be back on Wednesday with hopefully the semblance of a new show. If the modelling industry can get off its backside and actually release some new kits for us, that'd be splendid, actually. Until then, certainly in England at the moment, we're all set for July the 19th, which is supposedly called Freedom Day. All we're going to say on that is, please, everybody, stay safe, stay out of trouble, and try not to be another statistic, please. So on that note, we will see you on Wednesday, and I'll see Drew on Sunday back on this show again. So until then, we will bid you farewell and see you again very soon. So from us both, good night.